If you feel like a chosen one, then you have probably realized that your walk is not common. It comes loaded with silent proofs, battles that almost no one sees, but that consume you inside. And one of the most treacherous is this: dealing with false, deceitful people who smile with their mouths, but carry intentions that the soul perceives from afar. We are not talking here about those who lie out of fear or insecurity, but about those who make lying a way of life. People who approach with sweet words but hide daggers behind compliments. They don't attack head-on. They infiltrate, gain your trust, observe your sensitive points. And then, when you least expect it, they begin to drain your energy, destabilize your paths, and sabotage your mission. And why does this happen to you? Because your light bothers them. Your presence reveals what they try to hide. The false cannot stand the truth you carry, and that's why they try to confuse you, make you doubt yourself, weaken your faith. But you are not alone, and you don't need to be silent or hide because of them. This video is for you who are tired of welcoming those who only came to use you. For you who have had your trust broken, but still choose to continue with a clean heart. Let's talk with truth. Let's bring awareness, direction, and strength, so you know exactly how to act in the face of these masked individuals, without losing your essence, without dimming your light. And before we dive into this content, a heartfelt request. If this resonates with you, if these words make sense for your journey, subscribe to the channel. But not out of habit, not because everyone asks, but because here we speak to the soul. And if your soul feels touched by this mission, then this space is yours too. Let's move forward together. Being a chosen one is walking between light and shadows. And not always do the shadows appear as something dark. Many times they come smiling. And that's where the danger lies. Not every false person arrives with the face of a villain. Some come dressed as good people, full of compliments and friendliness. These people are cold inside. They observe, imitate, adapt. They try to seem trustworthy, caring, even spiritual. But they do this out of strategy. They study your way, your weak points, your essence, and they approach not to add, but to drain. Their goal is to take away what you have that is most valuable, your peace and your light. Many chosen ones fall into this type of trap because they have a clean heart. They believe in good, give the benefit of the doubt, and prefer to see the good side. But not everyone has this same energy. And unfortunately, those who live in lies see this kindness as a chance to manipulate. The false rarely attacks head-on. It infiltrates slowly. First, it observes. Then it presents itself as useful. And when you start to trust, it begins to act. And the hardest thing is that sometimes everything seems so natural, so calm, that you take a while to notice. But the chosen have something different, a kind of internal radar. It's as if the spirit gives signals. You feel discomfort, an unexplained irritation, a slight anxiety when that person approaches. It's your field saying, "There's something wrong here." You may not know how to explain it in words, but you feel it strongly. And when you ignore that signal, sooner or later the truth appears, and it tends to hurt. Because the betrayal of someone you welcomed wounds in a deep place. The chosen one needs to understand one thing. To guard is also to love. Not everything you feel needs to be spoken. Not everything you live needs to be shared. There are battles that are solely yours. And the fewer people who know, the more strength you will have to overcome. Do not confuse kindness with exposure. You can be good and still be reserved. You can be gentle and at the same time selective. This is not coldness. It's spiritual protection. The world is full of curious people disguised as friends, and the false one is attentive. They listen with more interest to your weaknesses than to your victories. They pretend to care, but are just waiting for the right moment to use your words against you. And when that moment arrives, the pain is deep. It feels like betrayal. And it is. That's why you should keep your heart protected like someone guarding a temple. It is the place where your mission was born, and you cannot allow just anyone to enter and leave dirt inside. There are people who come just to create chaos. The chosen one attracts. Your light draws attention. But that same light also causes discomfort to those who live in the shadows, and that's why many try to pull you down. They can't stand to see someone walking with purpose, even without a fanfare. Guarding your heart does not mean isolating yourself. It means knowing where to step, having clarity on who deserves your trust, choosing with care who sits at your table. And if you perceive that someone comes with deceit, distance yourself graciously, but without guilt. You don't need to justify yourself. And you don't need to feel bad for saying, "I don't want to talk about this." Silence, sometimes, is your armor. It is what keeps your peace intact. What is sacred should not be shared with just anyone. Those who are chosen have a sensitive soul, but cannot be vulnerable all the time. There are moments to open up, and there are moments to close off. Recognizing this is spiritual growth. Not every openness is a sign of evolution. Sometimes it's just need dressed up as empathy. Protecting the heart is respecting your mission. It's knowing that your path requires strength, and no one can walk well if they live carrying the weight of others' emotional confusion. You can help, you can guide, but you cannot be contaminated. The false will always try to enter through the emotional. They will use pity, need, and confession. And if you are not careful, you will embrace a pain that isn't even yours, and will still be held accountable later. A chosen one who does not protect themselves becomes a stepping stone for a manipulator. Be firm with kindness. Be clear with sweetness. But above all, be faithful to your peace. Your soul knows who deserves to be close. And if you have doubt, distance yourself until you are sure. Those who are true remain, even from afar. One of the greatest strengths of a chosen one lies in how they position themselves. And often the secret is not to raise your voice, but to know how to silence wisely. Not all falsehood needs to be exposed. Not all malice requires direct confrontation. You don't need to wear yourself out trying to prove who someone is. Time reveals. The masks fall. What you need is to learn to maintain emotional distance, even when physical proximity is unavoidable. This is spiritual maturity. Being diplomatic doesn't mean pretending that everything is fine. It simply means not allowing the behavior of others to take you off your center. You can greet politely and keep your soul closed. You can smile with respect and continue on your way. Being firm does not require aggressiveness. On the contrary, the firmness that comes from awareness is silent but powerful. It imposes limits without the need for shouting. It pushes away the false without the need for fights. And this is what bothers those who live by manipulation the most. The chosen one was not called to fight with everyone. They were called to be light. And light does not argue with darkness. It simply illuminates and moves on in peace. The firmness of someone who knows who they are needs no explanation. It is felt. If you've already recognized that someone is deceitful, do not try to change that person. Don't engage in that game. The false feed off attention. When you argue, you give them a stage. When you react, you offer energy. The best response is your silence and your firm presence. A firm presence is one that does not mix in, one that does not get carried away, one that does not give intimacy to those who do not possess truth. You can be cordial without opening up. You can be polite without being available. This is protecting yourself intelligently. The false expect drama. They expect confusion. They expect an attack. But when they encounter someone serene, centered, and armored, they lose control. They don't know how to act. Because they are used to reactions, not maturity. Do not feel guilty for setting boundaries. Being spiritual does not mean being passive. Having love in your heart does not mean accepting anything. There is a difference between being good and being foolish. And you, as a chosen one, need to know that difference. Continue being light. But learn not to light your candle everywhere. Where there is too much wind, your flame goes out. Maintain your shine, but choose wisely where and with whom to share your energy. The chosen one needs to learn to measure. Not every bond deserves depth. Not every coexistence needs to turn into friendship. There are people who should stay outside, not because you are better than them, but because your peace is worth more than any forced connection. The false feed off proximity. They want to be close, to know about your life, to participate in your victories, but not to celebrate. They get close to drain you, to compete, to try to dim the shine that they don't understand. You don't need to fight or distance yourself with anger. You just need to not make space. Keep the contact at the most basic level. If it's at work, talk only about what is necessary. Don't share plans. Don't talk about your personal life. Be respectful but distant. If you've already realized that someone does not vibrate in truth, do not invite that person into your home. Don't place them at your table. Don't take them to your parties. Don't share sacred moments with those who do not know how to value them. Intimacy is precious. Protect it like someone guarding a treasure. The chosen one has strong energy, but is also very sensitive. Therefore, when they mix with the wrong energy, they feel it in their skin. The body gets tired. The spirit feels heavy. And many times you don't even understand the reason. But it's there. You let someone get too close. It's not pride. It's protection. And if someone tries to make you feel guilty for keeping your distance, remember, guilt is the language of manipulators. Genuine people understand your boundaries. False people try to break down your walls to invade what is yours. You can be in the same circle, but you don't need to join the same dance. You can be in the same environment, but at a different vibration. The secret lies in your posture. When you remain at peace, firm, without opening too many doors, the false person loses strength. Avoid making plans with those who have already shown they do not have truth. Do not involve them in important decisions. Do not assign sensitive tasks. When you allow the manipulator to get involved, they find gaps. And where there are gaps, there is energy theft. The chosen one needs to be selective, not out of arrogance, but out of awareness. Your mission requires clarity, and it's impossible to have clarity in the midst of the emotional chaos of those who live by appearances. False people do not add, they confuse, delay, drain. When you set boundaries, you are telling the universe that you value yourself, that you understand the importance of your time, your energy, your calling. And those who understand their own value attract healthy, loyal, and clean relationships. Do not be afraid to seem cold. Cold is the one who lies, manipulates, and pretends to love. You are being just to yourself. You are saying, "My space is sacred and not open to anyone." This is spiritual maturity. Keep your heart good, but your gaze attentive. Not everyone wants what's best for you. And this doesn't need to make you bitter, just more aware. The awakened chosen one knows how to filter. They know how to smile without giving themselves away. They know how to distance themselves without making noise. Learn to keep some relationships shallow. They won't harm you if you don't let them sink into you. Remain light but firm. Your mission needs clean space to flourish, and it cannot flourish with weeds around it. The chosen one needs to be careful with the ties they create. Not every invitation is a blessing. Not every proposal is a sign of prosperity. There are traps disguised as opportunities, and many of them begin with a simple, "Shall we do this together?" The false one always tries to involve you in something. They approach as a partner but have hidden intentions. It could be a request for partnership, a loan, a business idea, or even a simple joint purchase. But the real objective is not always to build. Sometimes it's to use. And when this type of person falls, they do not fall alone. They drag along whoever is nearby, whoever is involved. That's why the best defense is to avoid any type of dependency. If the energy is not clean, the project will not prosper. The chosen one was made to guide, not to be dragged. Their mission requires freedom, and wrong commitments take away that freedom. You start with a good intention, but end up carrying a burden that wasn't even yours. And this wears down the body, the mind, and the spirit. Avoid mixing money, trust, and energy with those who have already shown signs of falsehood. It doesn't matter how convincing they appear. Lies are skillful. They create stories, victimize themselves, promise worlds. But those who are true do not need to convince. They live in truth, and it is felt. You can help someone without committing yourself. You can support without getting tied up. There is a difference between generosity and bonding. A one-time help is healthy. A permanent bond with someone who vibrates in lies is not. The chosen one cannot tie themselves to someone who lives free in their own confusion. Remember, the false know how to manipulate your compassion. They will ask sweetly, promise that they will be different, and play on your empathy. But deep down, they do not want to build with you. They want to use your stability as a ladder. Protecting your energy also means saying no when necessary. And that no can be the difference between following your mission with lightness or getting lost in battles that are not yours. Not everything that seems urgent is important. Not everything that seems beautiful is true. Before getting involved in something as a pair, observe, ask your spirit, feel the vibration, and if there is doubt, retreat. The doubt of the chosen one is almost always a warning. Listen. What is aligned brings peace. What comes from lies brings noise. You were not chosen to carry the weight of others. You were chosen to show the way. And to show the way, you need to be free, whole, and available. Run away from everything that ties you to the chaos of others. The chosen one does not need to descend to the level of the false to protect themselves. Their strength is not in retaliating, but in seeing ahead. In speaking little, in using silence as a shield, in knowing when to distance themselves, when to observe, and when to respond without giving themselves away. There are people who lie all the time. They live off that. But the problem is not just the lie itself. It's what it hides. Manipulation, control, envy, hidden intentions. And if you fall into the trap of reacting to everything, you will live exhausted. The secret is not to give ammunition. Speak less. Say only what is necessary. Keep your intentions protected. Your life does not need to be an open book for those who are only around to leaf through and criticize. If you realize that someone is deceitful, do not confront them. Do not despair trying to prove you are right. The chosen one does not have time for this type of clash. Their mission is greater than a war of words. Use the lie to your advantage. How? By practicing strategic silence. Say the minimum. When they ask you something you don't want to answer, be neutral. Use simple phrases such as, "I haven't decided yet. I prefer to wait a little longer. It's not the moment." You do not need to justify your choices to those who do not resonate with your mission. The more you talk, the more space the false have to misinterpret, distort, relay, and use against you. Speaking less is a sign of wisdom, not weakness. The manipulator feeds off your reaction. When you cut that cycle, they lose their foundation. They become unsure of what to do. Silence disarms those who expected a scandal. Tranquility confuses those who thrive on causing conflict. It's not pretending, it's protecting. It's preserving your energy, your time, your journey. The spiritual world respects those who walk in truth, but also those who know how to remain silent when necessary. Not everything needs to be explained. Some things just need to be felt. Be like water, transparent, but impossible to hold. Do not get caught up in debates, gossip, accusations. Those who walk with a light spirit do not waste time with those who vibrate in chaos. And this is what bothers those who live in falsehood the most. If you are put on the spot, breathe. You don't need to have answers immediately. You can simply say, I need to think. I don't want to talk about this right now. This is not escaping. It's direction. You are choosing the path of peace. And when you feel that someone is trying to manipulate you with sweet words, smile, thank them, and distance yourself. Sometimes your best response is your absence. Those who live by lies end up tripping on their own. The chosen one does not lie, but they also do not need to tell everything. The truth can be silent. It can be in your gaze, in your conduct, in the way you choose to position yourself. You can be firm without being harsh. You can be clear without being aggressive. Use silence as a shield. Use truth as a ladder. Use your intuition as a guide. Those who walk with God do not need to prove anything to anyone. And when you understand this, the false no longer have access. They lose the key. The chosen one does not need to chase justice with their own hands. Those who walk in truth do not need to explain themselves. Time reveals everything. Life goes in circles, and those who live by deceit always stumble over their own lies. It may seem that the false person is winning, that they are doing well, influential, surrounded. But that appearance does not last, because what is built upon falsehood does not sustain itself. Sooner or later, the mask falls. And when it falls, it does not rise again. You do not need to seek revenge, defend yourself, or justify yourself. The only thing you need to do is step away. Distance yourself wisely. Stay at peace, and let life take care of the rest. The false always reveal what they are, not always with words, but with actions. The problem with those who lie is that they need to sustain many versions, and sooner or later, they clash. Sooner or later, the masks fight among themselves, and the truth appears. It may take time, but it will appear. Always. Because truth is light, and light always reveals what is hidden. The chosen one does not feed off the downfall of others, but they observe, learn, grow. With each disappointment, more discernment. With each distance, more lightness. And with each truth that appears, more certainty that you are on the right path. Chosen one, perhaps you have been hurt, trying to welcome those who did not come to add. Maybe you trusted too much, spoke too much, granted too much access. But that does not erase who you are. Your light is still there, stronger, wiser. And now you know, protecting your energy is not selfishness, it is a mission. Being selective is not pride, it is awareness. The world needs your light, but you need it first. Take care of it, guard it, strengthen it. If this content spoke to you, if it brought you clarity, strength, or peace, do not leave without subscribing to the channel. But understand, It is not out of vanity or for numbers. It is because this channel is a space for awakening. And if your soul felt it, then this is your place too. We move forward together. Steady light, living mission, clear path.